This week is all about game changers. The definition of a game changer is something that affects a significant shift in the current manner of doing or thinking about something. Well, that describes all the stories we get to share with you right now, beginning with one that is really going to get on your nerves. One in particular, the vagus nerve. Almost 800,000 people across the country have strokes each year. Incredible new technology is using the vagus nerve to help people recover even years later.
Good morning.
Tanya Baird steps through the door,
I'm going to have you go ahead and sit down.
continuing on a path she didn't expect.
I will give you instructions first on how to do the task.
Today is a day Baird will learn if all the struggle and effort
Squeeze, 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 squeeze.
has paid off.
I thought my health was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I wasn't on no medication or anything like that.
You're fine, keep trying.
It's a struggle that began in the middle of the night in 2017.
It happened in the night. It happened between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the night because I got up to go to the restroom at 1 o'clock. I was fine. I could walk, everything was fine. And at 3 o'clock, I woke up, I looked at the clock, I said, oh, it's 3 o'clock, I got another hour before I have to go to work. So I said, I'm gonna, go back to sleep and everything. And I went to turn over, and I couldn't move.
911, what's your emergency?
Tanya's mother, who lives with her, called 911. She had suffered a stroke.
That was from when I was in the hospital. That was like the next day I was in the hospital. They started me doing therapy immediately, the next day.
Push off of the chair. Up.
From her time in the hospital and then at an inpatient rehabilitation facility, she made gains.
Oh, I was probably like about 70%.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
But getting back to 100% did not happen. The stroke impacted the right side of her body, and she couldn't use her hand.
I was at therapy at Emory, and they said, a lady want to come talk to you about doing a study for us. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't know. I ain't doing no study. I'll talk to her. I ain't doing no study. She can forget that.
While she wanted to regain motion, the study sounded too involved.
She told me about it. And, she said it's a device that they have to implant. So I was like, Ma, I said, I have to have surgery too? I was like, I'm not having this. I'll let her finish her little spiel, not just going about my business.
Okay, just relax, take a deep breath.
After thinking about it and talking to her doctors, Baird decided to do it because what if it actually worked?
Today we're going to do the Wolf Motor Function Test.
The Wolf Motor Function Test.
Ready, set, go.
A test that measures upper extremity mobility is used around the world for stroke patients. It is named for this man, Dr. Stephen Wolf.
As a physical therapist, I always had an interest in the control of movement.
Dr. Wolf's lifelong interest led him to become a global leader in stroke rehabilitation research. One of the most disabling parts of a stroke is the profound loss of using an arm or hand.
I'm glad you're interested in this study.
Dr. Wolf was the lead investigator of the revolutionary EXCITE study, which showed that constraint therapy, when people use their affected hand and arm for several hours every day, while the other hand and arm are immobilized, experience dramatic increased mobility.
That became recognized as one of the clearly defined interventions that one could rely upon for successful recovery.
The EXCITE study was named one of the most important studies of the past 75 years. The reality is that most people's recoveries after a stroke plateau.
We have this nice little curve that we show. Here's time, and here's some kind of outcome measure. And there's this slope, right? And it starts to plateau, usually, in most cases with traditional rehab, about 3 months post-stroke. Our task, our mission, is to change the slope of that improvement curve and its longevity, its duration.
Dr. Wolf is the principal investigator at the Emory site for this new study that has grabbed worldwide headlines.
The study.
What makes this study?
In this study,
Wolf and researchers at 19 other rehab centers in the U.S. and the UK recruited 108 people between the ages of 22 and 80 years old. All had had strokes from 9 months to 10 years prior. The goal was to see if vagus nerve stimulation from this device made by microtransponder,
Ready, set, go.
paired with physical therapy, could improve long-term loss of hand and arm function that had not come back.
Vagus nerve is one of those 12 cranial nerves that we have. Some of them you all may have heard of already, having to do with your sight, your taste, your smell. Those are specific nerves that govern those functions. Vagus in Latin means wander, and the vagus nerve is the wandering nerve. It starts in our brain and has pathways from our brain to go to various organs and sites in the brain. When you're at home, you're going to be able to do this on your own.
Dr. Wolf walked participants through the process, the first step being surgery.
You'll be under anesthesia.
Baird and the other participants had neurostimulators implanted in their chest walls. Then an electrode was wrapped around the vagus nerve in the neck.
That coil is actually going to be surgically wrapped around the nerve, because that's where the stimulation is going to occur.
The vagus nerve emerges from the medulla oblongata portion of the brainstem and goes down the throat, lungs, heart, and intestinal tract. The neurostimulator sends painless half-second electrical pulses up the vagus nerve, causing chemicals called neuromodulators to be released in various parts of the brain. Researchers say these neuromodulators appear to help activate neuron pathways in the brain, which play an important role in restoring muscle movement. Basically, it helps reteach the brain to find new ways to do what it did before, which means routing around damaged areas and recruiting healthy parts to take over from those lost to the stroke.
And maybe using viable nerve cells to reinform and re-educate to induce what we call functional neuroplasticity, making things work or engaging them in a way they haven't been done before.
For the next task,
After Baird underwent surgery to implant the device,
go.
she did 90 minutes of physical therapy 3 times a week for 6 weeks. In this triple-blind study,
Good job.
one group received real stimulation paired with physical therapy, and one group received sham stimulation with physical therapy. No one, not Dr. Wolf or any of the research teams, knew who was getting real or fake stimulation.
The determination of real or sham, make-believe stimulation was controlled by one individual, and that information was withheld from the patient, from the therapists, from the evaluators, and from the investigator.
I think I'm getting this stuff for real. I couldn't wait to find out.
And all the patients were asked at a set point in time, do you think you're getting the stimulation, or do you not think you're getting it? And there are equal numbers of incorrect guesses.
At the end of 6 weeks, 75% of patients who had their vagus nerve stimulated during physical therapy saw a clinically meaningful benefit, compared to only 33% of those in the therapy-only control group. After 6 weeks, Baird and the other participants continued with 30 minutes a day of at-home exercises, using a magnet to turn on the neurostimulator. By the 3-month mark, 88% of participants receiving stimulation had improved.
Now I'm able to cast it out, crank it back in without any help.
From a fisherman who could once again wind and cast his reel, to a man whose once lifeless hand could hold and pour a cup of water, to Baird, using her hand almost 3 years after her stroke.
It has helped me because I've gained so much control over my hand that I didn't have before.
At home, Baird turns on the neurostimulator when she wants to fold clothes or work out.
Before, it was just present. It was just, you just saw it. It was just there. That was it. I couldn't move it, I couldn't lift it, I couldn't do nothing. It was just a hand.
Okay.
But after having the vagus nerve stimulator, now I can do more things with my hand. I can, lift it up. I can, pick up something, do things like that.
I will give you instructions.
At Baird's final evaluation, she is able to do things she has not done in years, like stack quarters and pick up a pencil. Small tasks that have a profound impact on one's life. The FDA has already approved microtransponder's device. The advances may be more high-tech, but the goal has never changed for Dr. Wolf, to help people get their lives and mobility back. It turns out a wandering nerve that has been within us all along, may hold the key to helping our brains heal us.
We're at the beginning of a journey that's a very exciting one because we have some sense of positivity guiding our direction.